Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is your girl, Miss Ish, coming at you today, preparing Southern style neck bones. I'm going to show you guys my ingredients, and you know you're always more than able to tweak the ingredients. So let's go ahead and get started. So the ingredients I'm going to use today would be a pack of pork neck bones. You can use smoked beef neck bones. You can use chicken, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to show you how I prepare my neck bones. So I'm going to use the pork neck bones. I have a half a bell pepper, green and red, cut up. A half of one onion, a half a cup of flour. I'm going to be using black pepper, garlic salt, minced garlic, liquid smoke, and also some butcher's style steak sauce, okay? Now, the first thing that I did was went ahead and took one pot, and since I have quite a few neck bones, I placed a little over an inch of oil in this skillet. So the neck bones have been thawed and cleaned. So I'm going to go ahead now and just place them in this grease, okay? Now, the reason that I use grease before I actually cook the neck bones is because, you know, when I was growing up, they only did it like one way, the old-fashioned way, which was just boil the neck bones. And, you know, you kind of lost a lot of the flavor. So what I decided to do was put my own little twist. I fry them first, get them seared on each side. I add onion, bell pepper, garlic. And then once they're seared, I make my own homemade gravy the same way I showed you guys when I made the gumbo. And then what I'm going to do is actually put them in a slow cooker and let them cook overnight, okay? So I'm going to go ahead now, get these seasoned up. Let these sear on both sides, and then we will be back once it's time to make the gravy. Alright, so now that I have my neck bones all seared the way that I want them, some are a little darker than others, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and take them out, put my vegetables and my flour inside my oil, get my gravy together, and then we're going to place the neck bones back inside the pot for about 15 minutes before we put them in the slow cooker. Okay, so now that I have my neck bones out, I'm going to go ahead now and get the gravy started. The first thing I've done after taking the neck bones out is actually drained most of the grease out of the pot, but I'm going to use the little niblets that are still in here that fell off the neck bones. That's going to help make my gravy even better. All right, so let's go ahead now, get the onions, the red bell peppers, the green bell peppers, I'm going to saute those up, and maybe about a half of teaspoon of minced garlic. And I am going to add a little bit of seasoning to my vegetables, just a little bit of my Malibu mix that I usually use on everything, and a little bit of the garlic, rosemary, lemon rub. Like I said, you guys are always more than welcome to tweak these ingredients and use whatever desired ingredients you want, okay? So while we get these sauteed up, I've actually went ahead and put this in my 5th burner because this one I think cooks a little slower, and I didn't want to burn my gravy. So I'm going to go ahead now and get these sauteed up. And I'm going to turn my fire up just a little, if you can notice. Okay, just a little. And then once these sweat out a little more, that's when I'm going to add my flour. So we're going to give these about 3 to 4 more minutes to sweat, and then we'll be making the gravy. Okay, so I've taken all of my vegetables out, and I am getting a little bit of oil together just so we can get the gravy going. And now that I have this little bit of grease in here that's hot, I left a little bit of the onions in there. I'm going to take this half a cup of flour, pour it all inside. And the same way I showed you guys with my gumbo is the same way I do my gravy pretty much for everything. Whether I'm smothering chicken, neck bones, it doesn't matter. I started off the same way, searing everything first and then taking it out and then putting the flour. So what I'll do is the next thing, which I told you I do, is the color test. If it's the color of my skin, then I know that it's pretty much almost ready to be taken out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and get this going. It'll take a couple minutes just to get this gravy right. You know, you want to make sure you have enough seasoning up to your part. I don't really use salt, if you guys noticed, in all of my videos. I think except the tamales, just the kosher salt, but I try my best to stay away from salt. This will probably be one of the first pork meals that you saw me make, besides like bacon wrapped asparagus and things of that nature. All right? So we're going to let this cook for about 5 or 10 more minutes, and we'll be right back. Okay, so if you notice, my flour isn't as dark as I would personally want it to be, but this is another reason that I use the soy sauce, not just for the flavor, but for the color as well. All right? So, as you guys know, with flour, it doesn't have any type of flavor. So you always want to add a little flour, even if you're just like seasoning just for your chicken or pork chops, whatever you're frying. You always want to put a little flour, a little seasoning in your flour. I'm going to use a little bit of the rosemary, not a lot, because remember, we're going to use the soy sauce next, and that's going to give it a lot of its own flavor, okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and add that soy sauce. I'm going to take 1 bottle of water, and I'm going to start off with just using half first, because you don't want it to be watery. Then I'm going to just take a utensil and just commence to stir this around. Now remember, I'm just starting everything off in this skillet, and because the neck bones are actually for my dinner tomorrow, that's one reason I'm gonna put them in a slow cooker. And also because I have some other things to do, so I don't want to sit around the stove all day to see if I need more water, if my gravy is dissolved or not. And if you notice how thick that gravy got that fast, I'm going to go ahead now add the rest of the water. I'm going to add a little bit of this liquid smoke sauce. It's up to you. I usually add this different ways. If I don't already have smoked neck bones, I usually put them on a smoker and do it. But it's hot outside today. I mean, we just had rain, but now it's hot again, so I don't want to be out there. Okay, and either you can do it on the smoker, or what I do is when I'm searing them, I put the liquid smoke in there as well. Or you can just add it to your gravy like I just did, or just wait till you put them in your crock pot and put a little bit of gravy, liquid smoke there. Any other time I would make these neck bones, I would use a bigger pot and let them sit on the stove pretty much 4 to 5 hours. But like I said, I don't want to be in this kitchen all day, so I am going to get everything started on the stove and then finish in this slow cooker. So now that the gravy is almost the way I want it, I'm going to let it thicken up, but I'm going to go ahead and put my neck bones back inside now. Okay? I'm going to put all the neck bones back. I already have my crock pot on, and I have a little water in there as well. So we're going to add all these back. Okay, now that I have all the neck bones back inside, I want to make sure that all those vegetables that I seared earlier are all put back in there as well, okay? So the next thing, I'm just going to let these sit here for about, say maybe about 20 minutes, just to make sure that all these flavors kick in together. I know they look done now, but nowhere near done, okay? And I'm going to put them in the crock pot for about, well, I'm actually going to put them on low. And I'm going to just let them slow cook all night. They'll be the main meal for my Sunday's deal. And maybe some, I don't know, maybe some fried cabbage, some candy yams. I'm not really sure at this moment. But I wanted to go ahead and show you guys how I prepare smothered neck bones, Southern style, at my house, okay? So we're gonna let these sit here for about 15-20 minutes. We'll be back when it's time to put them in the crock pot, and we'll finish them off tomorrow. So it's been over 15 minutes that the neck bones have been simmering in the gravy, and if you can notice, the gravy even got a little darker on its own, and you can look at that gravy and tell that's pretty 30 or 40 weight right there. Once we put everything in the slow cooker in the crock pot, these vegetables, the onion and bell pepper and garlic, reduce and cook down a little more. But yeah, that gravy is actually, it's ready. So I want to just make sure that everything is simmered the way that I want it to be. And it's time to go ahead and just put everything in this crock pot and let it slow cook overnight. And I'll figure out the rest of the meal tomorrow. So in my crock pot, I went ahead and put a little water and a little seasoning just to make sure that I have enough water for this gravy, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and just with the pot and just pour everything right in here, okay? Ooh, that smoke, that steamed up the camera. All right, so now I'm going to take all the rest of the goodies from the pot, get them inside here, get these covered up, and we'll be back tomorrow. So it's been a little over 10 hours since I put the neck bones on. We're going to go ahead and see how tender they are. And that meat is pretty much falling off of that bone. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get my plate set up. Now that my neck bones are finished and I have everything plated up, I also have a little fried rice and some string beans as well. If you guys like the video, please leave a comment at the bottom. And until the next time, please like, share, and subscribe.